order this, this school committee hearing on 11/2/2023. Dennis, you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
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 Here. So I'd like to start this meeting with a moment of silence for the victims of the Maine shooting. We have a member on our committee who experienced loss from the tragedy, and we express our sorrow to her. You may notice some increased security here. That's the reason. So can we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. We'll be proceeding to the we'll be proceeding with the hearing related to Superintendent Erin McMahon. Superintendent McMahon has requested this be open instead of executive, which we're pleased to have. So we know this hearing is limited to the allegations that you have been provided with all communications need to be within the scope of the allegations. So as always, let's keep this professional. Let's be respectful of other people, and let's refrain from any personal attacks. I think, like all of us here, you guys, we're all doing a service, and we all appreciate each other. So let's just be respectful. I kind of want to first start that this matter we're talking about now didn't arise from the school committee or the town. The school committee and its attorney were provided with credible complaints and corroborating evidence by a whistleblower through their attorney concerning your course of conduct in your employment as superintendent. The town of Saugus subsequently engaged law firm Arrowwood LLP as special counsel to conduct a fair and impartial investigation into the allegations. Arrowwood provided a confidential report of their investigation on August 17, 2023. You were provided with an executive summary of that report, that confidential report, which was retracted to protect the identity of the school employee who made the initial complaints. In the confidential report, Arrowwood found that you engaged in the following conduct: failing to timely disclose your relationship at Relay Graduate School of Education to either of the chairs or anyone on the school committee; permitting Excellent Reflex Consulting to charge excess fees to the school district under your supervision; permitting Excellent Reflex Consulting to charge school district for the purchase of alcohol; and being absent from the district 40.5 days from July 22nd to the start of your leave in January. Arrowwood determined this conduct likely violated Section 23B(3) of Chapter 268 and the Saugus Town Charter, Article 2, Section 33. It may have violated Sections 19 and 3B of Chapter 268A and applicable federal regulations, including 2 CFR and 200.423. Each of the committee members has reviewed the confidential report based on the findings and the conclusion of the confidential report. The school committee intends to vote this evening to determine whether to terminate your contract for good cause, pursuant to Section 12 of the employment agreement between you and the school committee. The school committee is not considering any other grounds for termination. Also, just want to make a point of there has been some inaccurate statements made to the newspaper that we had a finalized settlement agreement and it was completed with Ms. McMahon. That is not true. So, Ms. McMahon, you have the opportunity to speak. I note for the record that you have counsel present. Well, you are welcome to have counsel present and confer with your counsel if necessary. Your counsel is not allowed to actively participate in the hearing. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Serino, and thank you for the committee for this opportunity to, for the first time in 10 months, to talk to you about the allegations that were lodged against me. But before I begin, I would just want to say thank you so much to the community, and I want to say thank you especially to the superintendents of the North Shore who are here in support of me. I want to say thank you to all of the members of my community, including friends who've come in from quite a ways away to be here. So I want to say thank you. I also want to give a shout out to my dad, and just someone who's been with me through this whole ordeal. And I want to recognize Megan Dellery and Mike Long, who are my attorneys, for their incredible service. So we live in a good and reasonable country, and you are a good and reasonable people. And with that, I actually begin this conversation. If you vote to terminate today, the termination will be wrongful. It will also be immoral. I've exemplified being a leader who's profoundly committed to students, parents, and educators of Saugus Public Schools. I've made significant gains for the school community in the 2 years I've served, and I am Saugus's first female superintendent. And yet I have suffered through a full year of gross incompetence, deep corruption, and blatant discrimination. The process to put me on leave, keep me on leave, and to determine my fate has been administered incompetently, if not outside the law. The rationale to put me on leave has been characterized by corruption and malfeasance. The practices employed by the school committee have been discriminatory. So let's first talk about the process. The process itself has been ignored. You have violated my contract. You never provided me with a copy of any complaint or allegation which is required by my contract. You denied my due process by putting me on leave without any written notice of complaints. You violated open meeting law repeatedly. You've repeatedly violated your own policies and procedures, including delegating decision-making authority to the town manager to run an investigation without a vote of the committee. You've repeatedly and arbitrarily delayed arbitration, changed lawyers, and promised documentation that was never received. You've deferred my contractual rights to arbitration 4 times. June 28th, July 26th, September 12th, October 26th. You, in fact, have changed attorneys 3 times. You have wasted thousands of taxpayer dollars. You've failed to communicate proactively, effectively, or in good faith. It is clear to me that my leave was never, ever about anything I did. When this started in January, for those who don't remember, because it was 10 months ago, we were in the process of negotiating a budget that would put more resources in the hands of students, educators, and parents. I was informed of unspecified complaints that required investigation. I went on leave, and suddenly, millions of dollars were taken out of the budget. And where did they go? The Student Opportunity Act allocated $6 million to Saugus this year. We only saw 1.3 in the budget that was completed after I was put on leave, and $1 million into the Student Support Reserve Fund. We'll recall a reserve fund that was created by the town manager in a written warrant without my input. So today, it's important to note that we, and my attorneys specifically, have consistently responded to and followed this investigation, even though I was not required to participate because it was conducted by the town of Saugus and never by the school committee. Public records requests have gone unanswered. Questions have gone unanswered. Documents have not been provided. Rationale has never been clear. And any claims of impropriety on my part are patently false. And I have the paper trail to back it up. You were provided with additional information today. I have never acted in an unprofessional, inappropriate, or dishonest way. And in fact, it has been the school committee. And when I say that, I put that parenthetically, because I actually don't believe that all members have been trying to do this. That has failed to comply with school district policies and procedures and state and local law. So it is important to know that none of the claims that you just named today, Chair Serino, were ever discussed with me prior to my leave. And yet, Vinny, we met more than weekly during my service. We met officially every other Thursday. And in that, I could have addressed any concern. And in fact, I answered so many concerns from Mr. Serino. In fact, we met in a finance committee prior to the school committee every other week to make sure that concerns were answered. I could have addressed any concern, but no concerns, not one, was ever elevated during those conversations. Not one. Regarding my relationship with Relay, a respected national nonprofit teacher training organization, I have coached for Relay and I've used Relay training throughout my career. They provided me top tier, high quality learning experiences for educators. In April, after it became clear to me what the questions were that were coming from the out of this quote unquote investigation, I filed a conflict of interest disclosure with the town clerk, making clear I had no financial relationship with Relay when they were retained by Saugus Public Schools. I also made clear that I was retained as a coach for Relay. And when I received compensation for coaching, I tried to donate my payment to provide lunches for our Saugus teachers, a couple of whom are here today. When my attempts were thwarted, I had friends and family, including my dad, donate more than that amount on my behalf, a total of $2,000. So let's just let that sink in a second. On my resume, when I was hired, Relay was listed twice, both in certifications and in information. I talked to, at the time, the Honorable Chair Tom Whitridge about the training that we needed to bring in. The reason why we had to bring it in was that the 2019 DESI report specifically said that we had no systems for data analysis. That was the problem we were trying to solve. And principals had been undertrained for a very long time. So that is what we were working on. Regarding your question number 2, with Excellence Reflex Consulting, the committee must understand, as Mr. Serino does, since he's required to sign off on every bill for Saugus Public Schools, that the district receives a huge number of invoices each month. I did not review every invoice in detail. Certainly, if I was aware of an error, I would have corrected it. But in this case, I was not aware of the billing errors amounting to $10.40, discussed previously. All procedures, as described in my rebuttal, to my understanding of Title I, were followed. And I just specifically want to say that I appreciate my staff and the hard work that they do, and so I will leave that there. And then regarding my days out of district, when the contract was negotiated, the school committee was aware of my doctoral studies at Boston College. In fact, it was a core part of our negotiation. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Fisher, who was the head of the hiring committee, who I specifically gave that information to, and then shared the information with Chair Whitridge, and then subsequently Chair Serino. So if the issue, and Vinny, this is to you, if the issue was 2 days of telecommuting in the summer, you could have spoken to me. We could have had a conversation. And yet we didn't. And what's so interesting about this days out of district is that when the complaint was first filed with me, or told to me verbally on Tuesday, the 17th of January, days out of districts weren't mentioned. But all of a sudden, this whistleblower, so-called, on the Thursday, all of a sudden was complaining about days out of district. So this seems really, really quite interesting. So again, if the issue was 2 days of telecommuting because all other time was contractual. So I just want to note today that I believe my staff and I followed all procedures that were required, to my knowledge, that my days out of district were consistent with in which the spirit we negotiated my contract, and that my relationship with Relay was not only known, but it was a core central part of our strategy. And I have provided, through the investigator, literally hundreds of papers showing the strategy that we were following and what we were doing in service of that. So in summary, to both my supporters and all of the people here today, and especially to 3 members of the committee who are required, who together could vote to not terminate me, I just want you to remember, the rebuttal information that I have provided you provides all the background that you need on the issues raised in the Arrowwood report. It provides all information you need, and I really ask, please, please review it carefully. The issues were raised, they were asked and answered. Because, in summary, I was denied discrete notice and a fair opportunity to respond to the school committee as agreed to in my contract. To my knowledge, none of the prior male superintendents were treated this way. First and foremost, the school committee should give me the opportunity by engaging with me privately, as should have been done at the outset of this. I welcome that, and I welcome any questions you have. I am so happy to go through any information you might have had. And if that fails, I request a new investigation authorized by the full school committee as required by the school committee policy that must be conducted by a new and truly independent investigator, as the Arrowwood LLP investigation was not authorized, and as longtime counsel for the town was biased. At a minimum, I ask the school committee to consider the information I have provided today, put it to Arrowwood LLP, and ask that the firm evaluate its impact on Arrowwood LLP's conclusion before taking disciplinary action. If you vote to terminate me today, it will be wrongful. And I'm truly hopeful for the students and families and other taxpayers of Saugus that you do the right thing. And I think you will. I think you will. And I think about the daughters and granddaughters of the committee members here. And I know that you would want your daughters treated fairly and respectfully, which is different than how I've been treated. So I ask you today, please give me the opportunity to engage privately as should have been done at the outset. And I'm open to answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, for purposes of clarification.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I understand what you said at the opening of the meeting, which, if I heard you properly, was that every member of the school committee has reviewed the entire investigatory report. And so it would be fair for me to assume then that the information that you have on which you will make a decision about this person's career is not information that she has. And I just want to be clear about that, so that
So
we have a
she-
clear understanding of,
So-
number one, what you knew and what you're asking her to report on.
So
You're asking
we'll be going
her,
off the executive summary that we did send in August.
well, that's what you say now, sir, respectfully, but you've made it clear that everybody's had a chance to review the entire report. And I just want to note my objection to you making a
No, it-
decision based on the entire report when it has not been provided to her, when she has not been told who the witnesses against her were, who provided information, and whether she can reply to that information specifically. She has put together extensive documentation to try and respond to what she thinks might be the circumstances. But without further revelation by this body, she's shooting in the dark.
Noted.
So is it the committee's intention to take a vote without even reviewing the material?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion today to terminate Superintendent Erin McMahon for cause.
Mr. Chair, I'll second the motion.
Any questions?
So if I may, Mr. Serino, before
Sure.
you could, I just want to emphasize for those who may not have been able to hear in the back, we provided additional information that actually speaks to all facets of the investigation that was done by Arrowwood. And so that information is sitting in front of the committee members right now, unread. And yet a motion was just made to terminate me without any of that information provided. So I just want to note again the due process.
And if I may, on behalf of the superintendent, I will just point the committee's attention to one piece of the material that's in the book that you have.
I
because
think we have a motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Was it not open for discussion? Excuse me.
It's not open.
Process.
You can. I'll let you finish.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. In the package of materials in front of you is the affidavit from a witness that Arrowwood notes in the executive summary that has been provided to us was not contacted by them. It is Chi Chang of Excellence Reflex Consulting. It speaks directly to issues that they raise in their report. It answers questions that they did not have answers to, and the committee has not reviewed that material today, among the other material that we have provided.
Okay. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Take a roll. Motion is to terminate
Fisher,
Erin McMahon for cause.
Yes.
Mrs. Giroux,
Yes.
Mr. Gould,
Yes.
Mr. Hatch,
Yes.
Mr. Serino.
Yes.
Could I ask the record to reflect, please, that the committee did not look at the materials that were provided today and still has not provided Superintendent McMahon with the report on which their decision is clearly and exclusively based?
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
A move to adjourn, is that what's next?
This is everything that
we
was
got a motion.
covered on our agenda, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Of course.
Do we have a second?
Good luck.
All in favor to adjourn? Aye. Adjourn.